Hello everyone, welcome back to another art time lapse. Today I am doing an original piece, Miniature in a Garden. Now this is a little bit different from my normal style, I would say. I really drew my inspiration from just like Pinterest that I saw for images, as well as just like strolling through Instagram for ideas. So this is like purely just for fun. So you can see I'm starting off with like really watered down gouache, and you can see when you add a lot of water to gouache, it almost looks like watercolor. It's not as opaque. I love the translucency of it, and that's how I'm starting off today. After that first layer dries fully, I am now putting on gouache, like really thick layers, without diluting it onto the piece. And the background is supposed to be a little bit more blurry because the landscape a little bit more distant, and everything that is closer to the viewer or to the audience is supposed to be a little bit more detailed, a little bit more rigid, and like more defined. And that's what makes this painting so unique, and learning this process through this piece of artwork I thought was really inspirational. So just to reiterate, like going through the idea that things that are further away, a little bit more distance, are a little bit more blurry, more diluted, whereas things that are close are a little bit more defined and more detailed. So here, speeding things up, my goal is to do like a dreamy landscape with these florals in the front of all these other plants, and I'm gonna have a miniature, maybe a person or an animal that's gonna walk through this garden. And I thought it was just like such a dreamscape concept. I feel like it's a very good description of photography, and I never really thought about it, how to describe how things that are further away a little bit more blurry, until I started thinking about like how do I paint that on a piece of canvas, on a piece of paper, to reflect that. So I thought this exercise was just so much fun. Here's a closer look at some of the flowers that I was working on, just lilacs and whites, just mixing them together, putting them straight on the canvas. Really love how like the colors turned out and how defined each petal was. It was very relaxing. One of the things I really love about painting nature is that there is no, I guess, being wrong. I guess I can relate that to like a portrait. A lot of times when you look at a portrait, you'll say that looks very different from the person that you're trying to paint. Whereas when you're doing something nature, plants and flowers, I feel a sense of freedom. A sense of freedom that like you can flex and make that petal a little bit rounder, a little bit sharper for those branches, and it's still okay. And I love that sense of freedom, not feeling judged about my artwork, which is why I always go back to nature. It makes me feel so calm and just so happy doing it. It doesn't have to be like clear, clean lines. And I feel like that's a rescue for me as an artist, not feeling judged and just enjoying the process. So here, zooming back out, you can see I'm just doing purple flowers in the beginning, but I do plan on adding some maybe magenta and other shades of color, more of a wildflower bouquet garden. That's what I'm seeing right here. And at the same time debating like, should I add something to the skies like birds? I really implore you, if you really want to try it like a different technique, this could be something you can try out for this piece of artwork. It was very freeing. It didn't take me too much time. I would say it took me maybe a full, maybe 4 hours maximum from beginning to end, and that's just because I am pretty nitpicky about my paintings. But like, I think it's a good exercise to step outside your box and like do something different. So hopefully these videos are helpful for you and also inspirational for you to kind of step outside your own comfort zone and try out different types of painting techniques. Or if you're just looking for an art project or like doing some kind of artwork and you're thinking like, oh, what do I do today? Hopefully these videos will be helpful for you in deciding, maybe I can do some wildflowers today, or maybe I can do a miniature person in this garden like I'm doing here. But anyways, I don't think it came out exactly what I planned for it to, but I think I learned so much from this particular piece of artwork I wanted to share with you, my friends on YouTube. So here I'm almost wrapped up. You can see after adding in all the florals, I went back and added little leaves and like loose grass here and there. and I'm just using a very fine watercolor brush to do that. And you can see I use a soy sauce dish for mixing my paint. I find that I don't need too much paint for gouache to get really a good impact on my drawing, so that's why I usually use a smaller dish. And then after this, the great thing about acrylic gouache is you can go back and like use other mixed media like color pencils to kind of fill in any gaps, create darker shadings. Here's a closer look as I'm adding in my tiny little character that's gonna be walking through this garden, and this character is not gonna be alone. I think I'll do a little animal or creature to go with it, but I think this is just like really interesting perspective to kind of go from like these weeds that you're looking at thinking that they're small and like tiny, but there's actually something even more miniature like underneath it. So I really love the perspective and playing around with that, having like a whole miniature world beneath a smaller world. So here you can see the characters slowly coming together, and then I'll add a little animal on the side. So that's it for my piece today, this miniature within a garden. I hope you enjoyed this art time lapse and found it inspirational and interesting as well. Thank you so much for joining me on this art time lapse video, and hopefully I'll see you next time in another art time lapse. Stay safe and stay creative, everyone. Bye for now.